For as long as I can remember, I knew I wanted to be a dad. But something that people don't necessarily know about me is I used to have a fear that one day, if I were to be a parent, my child wouldn't respect me as much as my peers or counterparts that didn't have a disability. They wouldn't see me as an authoritative figure. And I remember opening up years ago when I used to play competitive wheelchair basketball to one of my teammates, Murray. He was a few years older than me, and he already had a daughter, and he was paraplegic. So I asked him, have you ever had any challenges? I have this fear that my son or daughter in the future, if I were to have one, if I'm lucky enough to have one, that they're not going to respect me. I'll still remember the grin on his face. He said, well, that's just silly. I said, well, what do you mean? Well, see, I might not necessarily run, and my daughter might be a lot faster than me, but one thing I can tell you is that at the end of the day, she just sees me as dad. I internalized that. I didn't really know fully what that meant until, of course, this year. My wife and I, just a couple of months ago, were lucky enough to be welcoming our very first child. I still remember it like yesterday because it practically was. We're in the delivery room and I'm holding her hand, and all those fears I once had of my future child potentially not respecting me or seeing me as the same because of my disability and my wheelchair had basically melted away. But as I'm holding my wife's hand and she's delivering, I'm hearing the nurses talk about how there's some complications, that potentially there's issues that are taking place, that every time my wife is having contractions, that the heart rate of my child is slowing down. And all of a sudden, like a rush of energy, those fears came back in me. Not just the fears of if my child would respect me, but now is my wife and my child even going to make it out of the delivery room? Or is my child going to be born with a disability like her father? Well, I'm happy to say that my daughter ended up being very happy and healthy. And in the past 2 months of getting to know her, I can tell you that I finally understand what Murray meant. You see, when I'm playing with my daughter on the couch, even though she is only 2 months old, the second that she looks up at me with her steel blue eyes and she smiles at me, I know everything is okay. And I know that my daughter doesn't see me for my disability. She just sees me as dad. So my message to all you potential parents with disabilities out there, if you're thinking about it, if you currently are, don't sweat the small things. Know that you'll adapt as you go. And at the end of the day, your child is just going to see you as mom or dad. Thanks.